All right, kids, so Pedro and I are here to teach you how to write a literary criticism paper from afar. You can see this lump of blackness, the blackest black on my shoulder is Pedro. He just has to be held, or else he sits in front of the camera the whole time. So our first step is we need to get to the website, which I have conveniently already opened. English 122 Honors, Literary Criticism Paper HyperDoc. So this is the link that we are going to use. You need to open this up. You'll notice this is very similar to the character analysis paper, HyperDoc. Now, the Lit Crit paper, the character analysis paper are similar papers. If anything, this is the big brother. Okay, so once we have this open, the next thing you need to do is open up Google Drive, and you need to create a folder. Now, here are all of my folders and stuff. So please create a folder inside of your shared folder, the one that's shared with me, and title it Lit Crit Paper. Do that now. Pretty please with sugar on top. Hopefully by now, I don't know if you've paused me or what you've done, but hopefully by now you've completed the creating of the shared folder. If not, please pause me and complete that. And then we're going to move on here. So let's look at the instructions for the literary criticism paper. Here they are. So you will write a literary paper that will analyze, interpret, or evaluate the work that you have read. Now, in the past, it's been Fahrenheit 451, but for you, it's going to be The Grapes of Wrath. You will do this by exploring a theme or central meaning, by scrutinizing a technique the author uses to develop his or her theme, or by making a judgment about the quality or impact of the work. The writer should assume that his or her audience is familiar with the work, and I am familiar with the work. But she should include enough information to refresh the audience's memory. Now, a key here is do not summarize the book. The literary criticism paper is a literary analytical paper. It is not a book report on the Grapes of Wrath. So there's a fine line here between analyzing what's going on in the book and telling me what happened in the book. So make sure that you kind of stay on the right side of that line. Well, Pete's on the move. Pete's on the move. Good. He's been held enough. Just fine, because I'm tired of holding him. The tone of this essay must be serious. The point of view must be third person, thus keeping the focus on the author. Now, in terms of third person, we never refer to ourselves. I never say I think or I believe. We don't do that in a formal literary paper. When talking about literature, we use the present tense. So this is kind of weird. It's going to feel kind of weird, but we speak or we write in the present tense, not the past tense, which again feels strange, but it's what we're supposed to do, as though the book is happening now, or as though, whatever. And I think that the reason behind that, if I'm correct, is that it's the idea that literature, it's like, yes, the book was written, but it's still being enjoyed. Like it's still a living thing. It's still alive. So that's why we write about it in the present tense. Here are some things to think about. Now, right now, this video is a basic overview of all of the pieces and parts. Okay. We're going to get into more detail about what to write about, ideas for your thesis statement. Like we're going to do that. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to leave you hanging. But here are some ideas just to start thinking about. What is the plot of the work? Who are the central characters? What is the point of view? What is the mood? What is the conflict? All of these bullet points are things to think about, okay, in terms of what you are going to write about. And again, I'm going to give you more help, not just more help, but more specific help in the near future in terms of writing this. The thesis statement of this paper, which again is the last sentence of the first paragraph, should include the approach of the writer and your area of analysis. So, and again, we're going to work on this. We're going to have a specific video where I'm going to give you some ideas of what to write about and stuff like that. So don't worry about that. Again, we're just going over the basics right now, like the basic overview. Once you've determined your approach, you should investigate secondary sources. Now, if we are writing Fahrenheit 451, if we're writing a Lit Crit paper based on that, I have sources for you, and I'm going to show you how to search for sources. If we're doing it on the Grapes of Wrath, you're going to have to find the stuff yourself, but I am going to help you in a separate video. So I'm going to dedicate a specific video just to finding resources for you. In fact, I'm not just going to show you how to find them. I'm going to find some for you ahead of time and publish them and just give them to you. So you'll have a place to start, but you'll also have the flexibility to find your own thing. So that'll be a different video. This paper needs to include quotations from the work, The Grapes of Wrath, as well as supportive literature, which those are the secondary sources that I'm going to help you find. For this particular paper, you will need support and research from at least 3 secondary sources plus the book. That's 4. 3 plus 1 is still 4. It's still 4. Okay, so you'll need to have the book, The Grapes of Wrath, and 3 other supportive pieces of literature. And again, I'll help you find those. Now, keep in mind, when I'm saying 4 is a total, there should be, let's get my hand so it's like there's the camera. There should be 4 entries on your works cited page. If there aren't, you went wrong somewhere. A lot of times kids don't put the book. I don't know why, but you want to cite the book because you should be using direct quotes and paraphrases from the book. You should also be using direct quotes and paraphrases from all of your secondary sources. Okay, and those are things we're going to go over in other videos as well. Now, there are some major pieces to this. So one is writing the actual paper. Okay, that is a big 200 achievement point graded thing. It's a monster, and that's really 200 achievement points. It's not an accident that I said that. I'm not being, exaggerating or anything like that. That's the real point value. You also have an outline due. This is a practice grade, but it's 100 points. It's a beast of a practice grade. You also will have working bibliographies due. And you're like, what is that? I'll get there. I'll explain to you what those are. So working bibliographies also, I think, a 50 to a 100 point practice grade. And the outline's 50 to 100 points too. I got to double check on that before I start giving you real numbers on that. But they're both very large practice grades. So the paper, which is your big achievement grade, outline, and working bibliographies, which are 2 big practice grades. So here's the outline format. Now you'll notice the outline format is pretty much the same exact format that we used for the character analysis paper. So you will have a Google Doc and you'll put it in your folder. In fact, what I would do if I were you, I would copy this. I would highlight this whole thing right here, okay? Copy and paste it in a new document inside your literary criticism folder, right now. Pause me, go do that right now. Okay, hopefully you've done that because that was a big step. If you haven't, what are you doing? Okay. Let's talk about note cards and working bibliographies. Now, we're going to have probably a whole other video just explaining how these things are going to work. Okay, because of the nature of this, we're going to focus on working bibliographies. I really don't want you making note cards for this. Sometimes I give an option, but we're not going to this time around. So you need to have a working bibliography for each entry. And again, we're going to go over those in detail. But what I would do if I were you, we'll go to that. And in fact, I'm looking here. I was going to talk about it. We're going to treat this in a whole other video. It's a whole other beast. So we'll take care of that in another video. So this is your first start here, the instructions. I want you, I'm not going to read through the whole rubric for you because you can do that. What I want you to do is read through excellent, because that's what you're shooting for, isn't it? Doesn't everybody want to get a 200 out of 200? I would think so. So read through here and look at all of the requirements. Now, if you notice there where it says at least 3 subpoints and stuff like that, keep in mind, you remember those paragraph sandwiches that we spent a lot of time working on and harping on, and I made you redo them, and it was a whole big thing. Those are still a thing. In fact, when you're writing an analytical essay, which is something you'll do a lot in college, the paragraph sandwich format is that's money. You want to use that forever. This isn't one of those things where you're I learn it and I forget it. You want to keep that sucker in your hip pocket forever. It's it's the writing structure you want. It really is. So we're using that. You're going to have 3 paragraph sandwiches. If you want to go back to the character analysis project and pull up the HyperDoc and look at the the big 12-sentence paragraph. You're really looking for that big triple-decker paragraph sandwich. So it's the 3 paragraph sandwich together where you're using 3 like direct quotes, 3 paraphrases to build that. So take a look back at that if you need to. If you just need a little refresher, it definitely would be handy. That stuff's still all on the website. So if you go to the, I think it's the short story unit. Let's look real quick. I believe at the very bottom of the page is the hyperdoc for that. Your paragraph sandwich instructions will be in there. So if you need a refresher on that, head on back there to get those. In fact, let me kind of clean myself up here. There we go. So go through the old rubric, read through there, make sure you're familiar with everything, and that'll cover that part there. This video you should have watched already. This video, the MLA Purdue OWL and U is a video I would recommend that you watch before you start doing any research. So it would be, I would say, watch the working bibliography video and then watch the MLA Purdue OWL. That's the order. And then after that, I'm going to have a video on how to find sources. So that's the plan for now.